I'm trying to figure it out now. I think it looks like it's got the wrong meeting link on the agenda. I don't even know what that meeting link goes to. But I'm working on figuring it out right now. All right, thanks. Hey guys, looks like we're having some technical difficulties. I think some people got the wrong Zoom link, so I'm trying to figure it out now.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. I'll just be on standby.
This was really odd.
Yeah, I don't know I have no idea what that meeting link she has on there is, because they're all the same every week. So I don't even, it doesn't even match. I thought it maybe was the ORC, but it didn't even match that.
And messages. I just got a message from Kim.
Yeah, I've sent it by text
Yeah,
message.
you sent it by text, which,
I'm sending
you
it
know,
by email right now.
okay, because some people don't have their iMessage on their computer as well. Hi, Larry.
Hello,
You didn't have any trouble getting in, did you?
I did. Dennis sent me the chat and I ended up just forwarding it to my email so I could open it up on my laptop.
Meadow, it's good to see you here. We don't usually have this problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. At least it's being recorded, so those who don't get to attend will still be able to see it.
Yeah, I was going to say there's probably some people out there who want to know what's going on. They can't get in.
Give me just a second. I've got a couple emails here of people who need it.
Hey, Kim, you made it.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
At least I wasn't the only one that couldn't get on this time. That's embarrassing when it doesn't work.
I think it was the wrong link, right?
It was, the agenda has the wrong link. I don't even know what that link was that's on there.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why it was different because the meetings are set up as a recurring meeting with the same meeting over and over again. So I'm just trying to answer some emails and get it sent out.
Okay. All right.
Technology is great when it works and stinks when it doesn't. But if anybody wants to know, it is being recorded, so anybody can watch it later.
Yeah, I just sent it to Susan Johns and Emily Raby.
As did I.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna give them just a minute and then
Yeah.
we'll get going.
And I don't know why I turned off the waiting room just so everybody would come in, and it's still,
Yeah. Doesn't like to be messed with.
it's just the perfect ending to what's been a perfect day.
Ah, now this is the solstice. You're supposed to be receiving light on this day.
No,
Right?
it's the darkest day of the year.
Right. Well, you have to ask for extra light was my point. It is the darkest day of the year.
All
Susan
right.
John says she's already viewing it on YouTube, so we don't.
Well,
need
and
to
she's
mute
on
that.
right now. So,
Yeah.
and so is Emily. So,
Okay.
all right, we'll go ahead and get going. All right. Thank you everyone for your patience. We're calling the meeting to order at 6:09 p.m. First on the agenda is approval of treasurer's warrants. First up, payroll warrants, December 10th and December 17th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve?
I second.
Moved by Pam, seconded by Terry. Roll call vote. We'll start with Pam,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Moving down to accounts payable warrants for December 14th and December 21st, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Terry, seconded by Pam. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, calling for a vote. Pam,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0.
Oh, good. Jackie is here.
We can update her in just a second. Moving down to approval of the minutes for December 7th. Do I hear a motion?
I moved
Move.
to,
I'll second.
Moved and seconded.
I'd like
So-
to ask,
I have a question.
Yeah, Terry and then Kim.
I just wanted to check in with Jackie and see if she had anything that she saw that needed to be changed on those minutes. You need to-
Jackie, you're on mute. There
Okay,
you go.
if I was going to change it, I'd take out a lot of that discussion. There's nothing I would add, certainly.
for those who are unaware, the question is on the discussion of the fireworks permit. I would suggest that we add that Tom and Katie Bryant did speak. I think we should have the record of who did speak. But in general, our minutes are not typically a transcript, like Jackie mentioned in her email. And so we don't typically put a ton of detail in terms of exactly what everyone said. Kim, you had a question?
Yeah, there was a flurry of emails that came in this afternoon while I was at work. I have not read any of them. Has anyone who's read the email, like, do I need to read this stuff or?
That's what we were just talking about.
I saw the names and I just, I got home at 5:58 and here I am. I have not looked at those things.
Yep.
So if they're
So-
relevant to the discussion, do we table the minutes or I read the minutes. I thought they were fine.
Yeah, typically we don't take extra inclusions from the public. It's basically up to the board if there needs to be any additions or edits to the minutes. It was basically an email from Tom and Katie Bryant asking that they, among other things, they be included that they did speak during that time, and they asked for inclusion of the previous documents that they had sent before the meeting. But that's not really our practice to include documents that happened before the meeting, only documents that were presented before the meeting.
And if anybody wants to access those things, that's public information and they could just request it.
Right.
And if anybody really wanted to see everything that happened in the meeting, they could watch the video.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would just ask that we add that they did speak against the application, just because I think it's a good idea to have the record of whenever someone speaks. Dennis?
I would point out there was no video of that meeting because we were at the gym. And
right.
for whatever reason, the video recorder didn't record that night. There is an audio recording of the meeting that Jackie has, but there's no video.
I think audio is sufficient.
It's very hard to hear. It's not clear at all.
So are folks okay with the addition of putting in that Tom and Katie Bryant spoke against the application?
That's fine with me.
Yes.
I have another correction.
Go ahead.
Okay. It is on the second page under 9A EMS wages. And I know this is because the speakers were so bad, that microphone, all you could get from our side of the table was feedback. It says on here that Aaron Bean asked for funds for the stopgap measure. I believe that was actually the town manager's recommendation. And his recommendation was for $4 per hour. My motion was to accept his recommendation of added funds, but with the amount amended to $4.
Right, my recommendation was $3.
Right, yeah, yours was 3, and I recommended that the recommendation go forward, but at the amount of $4.
Correct.
Yeah, and I read the rest of I read the whole minutes, and that's the only thing I saw. But again, when I spoke, I was getting a lot of feedback on that speaker, so you probably didn't hear any of that, Jackie. Thank you.
Before you go on, did the treasurer's warrants get passed?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
And who made the motions?
I think it was Pam and Terry, and then Terry and Pam.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Did you get that, Jackie?
Yes, thank you.
So I guess we want to vote as amended then.
Yes.
Okay.
You ready for a motion?
Well, we have a
Well, there's a
motion.
motion on the floor.
Okay. Right, as amended, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Okay. So calling for a vote to approve the minutes as amended. Pam,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I have the wrong screen. Oh, all right. We do not have any special presentations or awards that I'm aware of. Do not have any committee appointments. Do not have any public hearings. Public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on anything not on the agenda? Please feel free to give me a wave or unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
I actually haven't seen the agenda, so I don't know if I might be on it.
Yes, you are later.
All right, terrific. Thank you. I'm going to go back to making dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody. Hi, this is Adam Teff from Titan. Dennis had asked me to come on tonight. I don't know if I'm on the agenda or where we are in the lineup, but I figured I would at least just raise my hand and let everybody know that we're here.
Thank you, Adam. And you are in just a couple minutes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. Seeing no one else. All right. Moving down to department head monthly reports. Any questions, comments from the board?
Excellent job from everybody.
And a really nice article from Susan Johns. Appreciated that.
Anything else from anyone? Okay. All right, so we are down to net energy billing presentation. So Adam, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you having me and my colleague Matt, who's here as well. Dennis had asked me to come in and just give everybody kind of a net energy billing 101. My understanding is the concept has come before the council before, and maybe some of the presentations that you've gotten have created more questions than answers. So I'm going to queue up something that should be helpful here. Let me just get that situated on my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so just very, very high level. Net energy billing. The first most important concept to understand, and forgive me if I'm telling you things that you already know, and I'll gladly take question and answers if there's information that we didn't cover that's still on people's minds. But the principle behind net energy billing, which I think throws a lot of people for a loop, is that it's not like what most people think of when they think about solar. A lot of times when people, hear the word solar or think of solar farms, they think, oh, you're going to put solar on my roof or build solar out in my backyard, and then we're going to use the energy and buy the rest from CMP. In that scenario, that's fairly common, and that's still done in Maine to a large extent. But net energy billing uses a different mechanism to create value for the people who sign up for it. And the idea is to build large ground mount solar fields that send energy back to the grid, not necessarily to the folks who subscribe to receive the benefits from it. And then what the customer gets for participating, effectively subscribing to receive the credits from the array, is you get a financial credit on your CMP bill that's meant to reflect the value of the energy that was produced by the array, wherever that array might be. So a lot of times for municipalities that want to participate with net energy billing, you could be getting credits from a solar array that's 50 miles away. As long as it's within CMP territory and is not already claimed by other subscribers, you can sign up to receive those credits. And again, the credits are just, it's a way to help the customer bridge the gap when the array is located somewhere else, but you still want the financial benefits associated with it. And that's, for people here who are more visual, we put this together, this slide that just shows, kind of step by step what happens here. So step one, a private solar development company would go and build an array, large ground mount array. I'm sure as you're driving around town or through the state, you've probably seen some of these start to pop up. You see them and they're not tied to anything. It just looks like, a field full of solar panels. What's happening there? Well, what's happening there is that the solar power is going back to the local grid. So CMP is metering it, receiving it effectively. And that's step two, that energy going back to the grid. And then CMP's responsibility, as they meter that energy, they know where those credits are supposed to be distributed. So they, on their billing side, will take the credits that you signed up to receive and then apply those directly to your CMP bill. So that's a function of the utility in this equation for folks who are signed up for this program. And then on the other end, because you've signed up to receive this benefit, the typical arrangement with folks who participate is you sign an agreement with the owner of that solar array to receive those credits, but then pay for them at a discount. So what you're getting is, let's just call it $1 credit on your CMP bill. And you turn around that same month, get an invoice for that credit, but at a set discount rate. Typically in this market, we see about a 20% discount for municipalities. So if you get, $1 credit on your CMP bill, you get a corresponding invoice for 80 cents, right? And then that 20-cent spread is your savings. And I just use those round numbers to illustrate the point that you receive the credit on your bill, you pay for that credit at a discount, you get to keep the difference. And these are typically not much more complicated than that. Of course, the rubber hits the road when it comes to selecting a vendor and making sure that your contract terms are favorable and how you allocate those credits across town accounts. And, there's complexity to it, but the basic premise is that the credit gets created by a large scale array somewhere in CMP territory. Nobody can double dip. So if, there's no, these are your credits and your credits only. There's nothing to install on your property. You're really just, I encourage people to think of this more as a financial transaction than an agreement to buy power, because ultimately what ends up on your CMP bill is just a credit. You're not receiving energy. It's not rolling your meter backward, if you will, like it would be if you had solar on your town hall roof or whatever. And there's virtually every agreement that I've ever seen, and Titan, we do consulting work on community solar type projects. Different states call them different things. Community solar is kind of a general term. In Maine, it's net energy billings is specifically what it's called. There's no cost to participate, but what you typically are required to do, especially if you want to get the best discount rates, is sign a long-term agreement with a vendor. Typically, the trade-off is you could go shorter term with a vendor and get a lower discount, or you can commit to a vendor for the useful life of the project, which is typically about 20 years, and get a better discount. For municipalities, I generally recommend that, the shorter term deals with the lower credit values, those are good for like maybe private businesses that, they might have a lease on a property and, they know that they're going to be out of there in 5 years, or, some other situation where you might be transitory, and, maybe moving out of state at some point or whatever, you're just not confident you're going to be around for 20 years. For municipalities, I typically recommend that time is on your side. If you feel comfortable that you've got a good project, a good vendor partner, and you can use the long-term commitment to get a better discount, then that's typically what we recommend. Trying to think of what else. Okay, so one of the biggest questions we get, like, is this kind of like budgetary gimmickry, or is it real? Yeah, I mean, the answer is that yes, this is a real program. It's created by the state legislature, basically mimicking what a lot of other New England states have done. What's been interesting to watch, though, is, somebody who's done work in other states, is that, Maine created this program and they made it insanely lucrative for customers. And what resulted was just a rush of developers coming in, a rush of projects, really to the point now where CMP is kind of had to say, like, hey, time out, like, we have more projects on the grid now that we know what to do with. And it's, sparking a larger debate about the infrastructure in the state and how CMP has maintained their grid and how they've gone about dealing with the rush of projects that want to be connected to the grid now. That's a whole other story. We could have a 20-minute conversation about that, but it will be something to address in this call, I think, because it's playing into how, if you're in a position today where you haven't done anything yet, you haven't signed up, you haven't committed to an array, it's a different environment today than it was a couple of years ago, where it was, plentiful projects. People weren't as concerned about being far back in line and the interconnection queue to get projects done. I think it's a lot harder today to get a new project started. And the state has basically hit the pause button on new projects as they reevaluate what kind of criteria they want to see in the next version of the program, because the rules were really liberal. The compensation back to the developers and the savings for the customers was really, really good. I venture to say almost the best in the country for a while. So once people caught on, it was like, okay, we got to grab our spot. And private money was there to meet that demand for sure. And land is plentiful in Maine, so it was just kind of a perfect storm of activity. But it is a real program. It's real money. It's real savings. One thing I like to point out, and again, it kind of comes back to the idea of, is this program real? And kind of, why does it even exist in the first place? I mean, it's really the way that the Maine legislature has gone about wanting to increase the amount of renewable energy on the power grid. Again, kind of taking the playbook from other states in Maine and saying, hey, private companies come in, build these arrays, so we get that renewable energy on the grid to hit the targets that we've set, which are pretty aggressive. And in so doing, they want to create a program that I think could help reduce costs and create some value for the ratepayers of the state too, which they did. So, it's the real deal. There's real savings. You just need to be, I think, mindful of the vendor that you're working with. Make sure that the project you're committing to is real and will actually get built, isn't just a concept on paper. Making sure that you sign up for the right amount of credits, not too many. And just, kind of fully understand what you're committing to. So I just sat back and thought about, what are the top 5 questions, other than things that we've talked about? I guess some of this does kind of dovetail with that, but the 5 top questions that we get when we're talking about products like this at Community Solar. you know, one of the first questions that I always get is, you know, how do these credits get valued? Like, who sets the value? You know, how do we understand that piece of it? And the way that Maine has gone about doing it is basically to mirror the prevailing value of the cost of grid power in any given year. So the value of the credit that you receive on your bill is meant to track where the price of grid power goes. So if grid power goes up, the credits you receive will also increase in value. If the value of energy on the grid falls, then your credit value falls too. What's interesting, and I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, but it's just the way the program was designed and where the market's going. The credit values from 2021 to 2022 dramatically increased because energy over this last year has become a lot more expensive. So, and this is all stuff that you can look up on the PUC website under net energy billing. They show you what the credit values have been and where they're going for 2022. But, you know, they started here, fell a little bit because the price of energy fell. And the price of energy over the last 6 months has shot up, so the credit values have shot up too. And the reason that they designed it this way is just to make sure that as you commit to receive these credits, the value of the credits is kind of is keeping track or is tracking as best as possible your cost of energy too. And there's some nuance to this where if you're thinking about contracting for these credits, you'd have a more nuanced conversation about where you think these credits are going to go over time in value and how you subscribe for the right amount, not too few, not too many. But long and short of it, the credit value is meant to track what grid energy costs. So it's not arbitrary. It's not something set by the solar companies. It's set by the PUC as a reflection of the value of grid energy. Second question, the current state of the net energy billing program in Maine. You know, I alluded to this before, and I'm not sure I have much more to say on it at the moment, other than the demand for projects is far greater than the supply of projects. And the reason is just because the grid, CMP, as of now, they have more projects that want to get built than they know what to do with. And how it's all going to get sorted out, you know, it's going to be kind of a slow process. You know, companies in other municipalities that we advised, you know, about a year ago when we were really knee deep in this market, we tried to just hedge our bets as best we could by doing a couple things. You know, one, making sure that whatever project the customer was looking at was far along in its development cycle and had its interconnection application resolved with the utility, had their financing together, you know, had all their lease agreements with the landowner, you know, that owned the parcel that the array would be built on, you know, really checking all those boxes. And then also making sure that we were partnering with a developer that had deep pockets who, you know, developers that could hang on throughout the interconnection process if it got tough. Because you know, you get a project on the queue and you have to wait there for a while, or you get hit with a bill from CMP for unexpected grid upgrades. These kinds of things can kill projects. So that was just one way that we resolved it. But it's an ongoing problem in Maine right now, as you probably see, you know, in op-ed pieces here and there, you know, in the paper. It's kind of bubbled up to the point now where it's, you know, kind of top of mind for some people. So again, just something to be weary about if someone comes to you with a project that's what I would consider to be underdeveloped. They're going to be way far at the back of the line. You're going to be waiting a long time before you even see a penny of savings. Third question, does this interfere with my ability to do rooftop solar someday? The answer to that is not necessarily. If you do a rooftop project, and I use rooftop project as a shorthand to say you could build a behind the meter project, which means it's connected to your building, you're using the energy. If you reduce your building's energy consumption and cost, then you might not need credits or the same amount of credits that you would have otherwise needed, but you could still have credits be applied to a location that has rooftop solar. So they can coexist. It just might change the financial outcome a bit if you have both at the same location. You know, the reason a lot of towns really like net energy billing is because, you know, you might have a ton of small accounts, or maybe you have some locations that use a lot of energy, but the roof might be 15 years old or whatever. Any number of things could get in the way. Or maybe just aesthetically, you don't want solar panels, you know, all over the roofs in town. There could be, you know, any number of reasons why, but you can theoretically do both if you wanted. What's the best way to choose a solar company? I would say under normal circumstances, the best way to always do it is through an RFP process. You get more options that way. The only thing I would say about that approach today is you might find yourself flooded with a lot of half-baked stuff, half-baked offers. What I'm seeing in this market right now is a lot of people who are out there trying to develop projects that are so far behind the curve that what they're proposing to do might just never happen. And not just to be a pessimist for pessimism's sake, it's more we're in an in-between phase right now where the future rules of the program are not quite known. So unless you can kind of be lucky enough or just know, you know, who to talk to or where to find those credits from a project that's grandfathered into the first round of the program and has its ducks in a row, you know, you might find yourself inundated with a lot of crap, which, you know, wouldn't get you really far. So, you know, there's ways to go about doing it. Maybe the RFPs is still the best, but you know, you'd have to take a really kind of good look at all the proposals that you got, make sure that they're for real. And maybe the question I get the most, can I lose money doing this? The only way that you lose money doing this is, well, let me see. So there's the kind of the golden rule of net energy billing, community solar, I think, is don't sign up for more credits than you need. That can be kind of hard to undo. If you're buying more credits than you need, that's a waste of money, and you know, waste of money is losing money, in my opinion. So you want to make sure that you sign up for the right amount right out of the gate. One of the other things that you want to be aware of is just to make sure that whatever arrangement you make with a solar company, that you strike the deal as such where you either opt for a fixed discount or you get such a big discount that the gap between the credit value and your credit cost is so high that there's like no chance for those to become inverted. But a typical arrangement for municipalities that don't want to gamble, don't want to take on that, you know, kind of classic trade-off of more risk, more reward. They'd rather take less risk and maybe get a little less reward. Is just to say, okay, we're going to have a fixed discount where no matter what the credit's value is, we're going to pay 15%, 20% fixed discount. So if that credit value goes up and down, well, we just track that. There's no situation in which they get inverted. That's how you eliminate your risk of paying more for the credit than it's worth. And different vendors have different preferred ways of contracting, so that's part of the search process, I think, for anybody today is to, just understand what the vendor's offering and make sure that if you fall into that camp of happier with, you would take a little less risk for a little less reward, then that would be the way that I'd recommend doing. But if you size your credit allocation right, and you have a contract style that protects you against, that inversion of credit value here, credit cost here being upside down, then you're not going to lose any money. So that was a lot. I know I threw a lot at you, and appreciate everybody's attention. So if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Adam. Questions from the board? Dusty?
Yeah, I was wondering, is a solar energy company able to sign up more customers to a farm than that farm can supply?
No, they can only. So let's say you have a 5 megawatt array that creates 6 million kilowatt hours per year. That company can only sell that 6 million. That they can't sell 6 million and couldn't even sell 6 million in 1 kilowatt hours if they wanted to. They're not allowed to do that. So no double dipping, no. And there are utility mechanisms in place to make sure that would never happen anyway.
Terry?
So we probably, since they haven't built it yet, we probably won't be doing business with the solar company that's going to be building out at our airport. Okay, I guess that's what we just see. But ordinarily, if they were already in business, we could do this with them, right?
The problem, Terry, with them out there is they were going to do 2 projects out there, one of which we were going to be able to buy into, one of which was already sold.
Right.
And the one that got dropped was the one that we were going to buy into. So they've already sold everything that goes into that out there.
Right.
Eric,
So
go ahead.
my next question was, so Adam, are you in the business of advising for a fee of going through the process and seeing who is, in your estimation, your expert estimation, that you would find the companies that we should deal with? In other words, is that what you do?
That is definitely one of the things that we do.
Okay.
Other questions from the board? Dennis?
Actually, Adam and I had talked some months ago about him assisting us with this. So Adam and I already have kind of a short background together anyways. But Adam, if we decided to go out with it for an RFP on this, we could specify on the RFP that this actually, we could narrow this down and say, this has to be a real project. Don't send me something that's just pie in the sky. I mean, we could make that as part of our RFP specifications, yes.
Yeah, and the way I would do that is in the RFP, basically spell out what that means, right? And require that anybody who would bid on it could check all of those boxes. And if they can't, I would, in legalese say, don't bother, don't bid on this, because we'll figure it out, as we go through. And if for some reason people disregarded that and bid on it anyway, I mean, that's, again, we'd have another backstop to that when we actually review and ask questions, and it would become apparent pretty quickly. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I think if you specified exactly what you need from an eligible bidder, you'd find that the responses you get, I think, would be manageable, and you'd get reputable folks who would actually be able to do what they say they're going to do.
Other questions? Dennis?
Just a comment. some of you weren't on the board when this happened before, but we did get a $2,000 grant from Lincoln County Planning to help pay for a consultant, which we haven't spent yet. So there is money for us to do this without taking it out of our budgets.
A consultant for this specific issue?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Any questions from the public? Or any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very much, Adam. Really appreciate it. This was really helpful.
Just like to say,
Nice
Well,
job.
I'm Matt
Matt?
Kennett. I live right down the road. I'm Adam's colleague. I live in Thompson. I just want to let you know, there's someone on the boots on the ground here. We work together. We've done a lot of projects. We can provide references. And when discussing solar and Adam's on deck, there's nothing for me to say because he's penultimate. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
That's Matt's nice way of saying I hogged the mic. All right. I know it's true, unfortunately. Yeah, Matt and I work really closely together. We take on all these projects as a team. So if anybody has any other questions that come up after this call, feel free to email us too.
Thank you very much.
But hopefully this answered more questions than it created. That was our goal. So hopefully we accomplished that.
Terry?
One last question. Adam, could you take the slide back up to where there was an actual bill?
Something like this.
Right
like
there,
this.
down at the bottom.
Yeah.
So the credit value there, it's as if we had bought 5 credits. They were valued at 85,000, right, per credit?
Yeah, so this is again, I'm not sure how much Wiscasa spends or how many credits you could take. This is just as an example, a typical municipality that we work with, typical municipalities average annual energy cost is somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 a year, give or take. You could be on the extreme small side, extreme big side, but on average, that's generally what we see. And if we can get the kind of discount rates that have historically been available in this market, then the ability to reduce your costs is pretty significant. It comes down to what the inventory of projects is, how much you're spending now, how aggressive you want to be in terms of what kind of contract style you'd want. A lot of different variables can come into play, but that's just a very basic example of you receive credits, you pay a firm at a discount, and at that, whatever that discount is, that difference is your take-home savings, your cost reduction.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Dennis and I guess Adam can chime on this too. What's the timeline in terms of how soon should we make a decision on whether we want to move forward with any kind of RFP or consultant?
I guess I'll defer to Adam on that. I mean, he knows what the situation is as far as solar goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want a shot at doing this, I would try to get a plan together sooner rather than later, only because we are really at the tail end of what's left now, and it's sort of a situation where like cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows how good these programs are, so there's a lot of demand. Getting an RFP turned around for us is a fairly straightforward endeavor at this point. It's for us where the real like rubber hits the road is analyzing the responses that come in and putting together a report for you that clearly identifies like which are real, which are, maybe not as real, or, which ones are ideal or not ideal. But, whatever pace is comfortable for the town is fine with us. If you wait 6 months from now to put an RFP out, I think what you'd find is slim pickings.
Thank you. So I guess what I'd suggest, unless others have a different idea, is actually, Adam, if you could, I know it's just basically this one slide, but it's a helpful slide. If you could send that to us.
Yeah, sure.
And if folks want to think about this, and then let's discuss at our next meeting if we'd like to move forward. And if so, in what way?
I think
That
that's a
works.
great idea.
Sure, that's fine. I'll send this to Dennis, and I
Great,
think his
thank you.
email I have.
And in the meantime, if board members think of other questions they'd like to ask, feel free to bring those to the meeting and we'll get those answered.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you again, both to Adam and
Thank
Matt.
you.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Adam, Matt.
Okay, I'll see you.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. That was very helpful. Okay. Moving down to new business, monthly financial reports. Does anyone have any questions, comments on the financial reports? Okay, seeing none. Moving down to 9B, Lincoln County Hazard Mitigation Plan 2021 update. No, we received the very long document. Anybody have any questions before we move on to a motion?
Emily's here if anybody wants to ask her anything.
Okay. I'm happy to entertain a motion if we're ready.
I move to adopt the Lincoln County Hazard Mitigation Plan 2021 update.
Second.
Moved by Terry, seconded by Pam. Any further questions or discussion?
Is there anything Emily would like to say to make us smart?
Yeah, I can just give you a really brief kind of description of what the hazard mitigation plan is, because it's rather lengthy, so I don't expect that you've read it in full. Essentially, FEMA requires an update to this report every 5 years, and it's an update in its entirety, so not just the project list that you find in the back of the document. So what we look at, probably the biggest changes that you'll find from 2016 to 2021 are in the risk assessment and mitigation strategy sections. So for the risk assessment, we analyze Lincoln County's risk to flooding, winter storms, summer storms, wildfire, drought, which is new for 2021, and pandemic, which is also new for 2021. We thought it was timely to include. So this includes an analysis of past storm events, location and extent of the hazard, the probability of occurrence, and a vulnerability assessment, both for the county overall, but as well as for each individual town within the county. And then also included an estimate of potential losses for both the county overall and each town for each hazard. The mitigation strategy section is the other section of the plan that was significantly updated. So we worked with each town to update their hazard mitigation project list from 2016 to provide a status on the projects that were listed in the 2016 plan. So, was that completed? Is it in progress? Still deferred from lack of funds, as well as add possible new projects. And so all municipalities updated their project lists, including Wiscasset. Rob Bickford was very helpful in helping us update Wiscasset's mitigation strategies list, as well as attended EMA stakeholders meeting that we helped as we started to put this plan together. The project list that Wiscasset submitted, it doesn't commit you to actually, adopting this report doesn't actually committing you to require you to do those mitigation strategies. So I think Wiscasset was the Old Ferry Road culvert and then tree removal on Willow Lane. Essentially what this does is FEMA and MEMA take these project lists, for the county, and they put it into their GIS system. And as funding becomes available that matches the criteria and the project matches what the funding could go to, they connect with the communities to say, hey, you might be eligible for this grant program, but you have to adopt the county's mitigation plan in order to be eligible for that funding. So really adopting it tonight just makes you eligible for that funding for the next 5 years.
Cool. Well done. Thanks.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions on that or any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, calling for a vote. Pam?
Yes,
Who made the motion?
Terry and
Uh,
Pam.
I did.
Terry
and
and Pam.
Pam second.
Thank you.
Okay, calling for a vote. Pam,
Yes,
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
I vote yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving down to 9C, correspondence, wastewater treatment department. I thank you for the ARPA funds, so thank you for the thank you.
Sarah,
That
Yes.
worked.
I actually have another letter that came in late this afternoon I'd like to read if I may.
Sure.
It's addressed to the board and myself. It says, greetings. The members of our units would like to thank you for the generous bonus that we received in our paychecks Friday, December 17th, 2021. Being recognized for the work commitment the units continue to put forth during the pandemic is gratifying. Our members can certainly use these bonuses to ease the growing cost of living increases that we are seeing as we move forward into 2022 and beyond. Our units will continue to work hard to provide safety and service to the residents of the town of Wiscasset and the surrounding communities we serve. Wishing you a healthy and prosperous new year. Sincerely, Robert Wolf, Operations Unit, and Robert McDonald, Support Staff Unit. These are the two public works unions that the town has. So,
Cool.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving down to 9D, bid opening, fire department overhead door openers.
all right, so we have two bids. The first one is from PDQ Door.
While Dennis is opening that, Meadow, you're on 9H, just so you know.
And PDQ Doors bid is $12,400. The second bid is from Overhead Door Company of Augusta. And this is going to take me an hour to get into because it's taped so well. And their bid is $8,648. And I will tell you that we have $10,000 to spend, so.
That's what I thought. Any others?
Nope, that's it. So
Okay, I'm open for a motion.
Move to authorize the town manager and fire chief to review the bids, award the bid to the lowest qualifying bidder.
second,
Moved by Terry, seconded by Pam. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, calling for a vote. Pam,
yes,
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving down to 9E, annual renewal of check disbursement policy. Is there anything you wanted to say on this, Dennis, other than what was in our packet?
nope.
I'm open for a motion.
move to renew,
Second.
Moved by Pam, seconded by Terry. Any questions or discussion on this?
We have this down.
All right, seeing none, calling for a vote. Pam,
yes,
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Moving down to 9F, Airport Rescue Grant. I am open for a motion and a reminder that in the motion, if you could please read the entire motion as written.
I move to authorize the town manager to execute the airport rescue grant number 3-23-0029-028-2022.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Pam, seconded by Terry. Any questions or discussion on the airport rescue grant? Okay. Seeing none.
I would be
Oh.
interested to know if y'all actually read all of the conditions on that particular grant.
I did.
Oh, like the no texting while driving and,
Yeah.
You got it, especially the one right after texting while driving.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, I had a laugh and then I was insulted and then I had a laugh. Whatever, it's government. On we go.
Any other questions or discussion? Dusty?
Yeah, do you know what we're using this grant for, Dennis?
this can actually be used for anything with the operations of the airport. So it'll be set up as a separate fund. And we'll just make those decisions as we go along.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, calling for a vote. Pam?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion carries 5-0. Okay, moving down to 9G, art gallery lease. So I believe the action tonight is to identify a member of the select board who would like to assist Dennis in the negotiation of that lease, which will then of course come back to the select board before it's voted on. Terry?
Me.
Oh, I thought you had a question. Okay.
Do we need to nominate her?
I second her nomination.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis, would you prefer we vote on this to make it official?
No, I'm fine with unanimous consent.
Thank you,
No.
Terry.
I'll be in
Happy
touch.
to. It's just, you know, this is dear to my heart. I'm glad to do it.
All right. Thank you. Okay, and then down to 9H, James Weldon Johnson, future discussion. So I know Meadow had emailed Dennis about having a conversation with us with a presentation and some time for discussion. And so I talked to Dennis briefly about it, and we thought perhaps not in the middle of one of these regular board meetings, but perhaps at a workshop or something else, but wanted to ask the board what you thought. And Meadow is here, so. And Meadow, I don't know if you wanted to say something briefly.
Just, hi, everyone. Really wonderful to see those of you I've had the pleasure to meet, and those I haven't yet met, but have corresponded with to some degree, and all of you. So my name is Meadow Dibble. I am the Director of Community Engaged Research with the Permanent Commission on the Status of Racial, Indigenous, and Tribal Populations. And LD 1441, the act to establish a James Weldon Johnson Observance and Task Force, falls under my purview. And as many of you know, we had a wonderful day together on October 23rd. About 40 of us from Wiscasset, from as far-flung, places as far-flung as Jacksonville, Florida, to discuss the life and legacy of James Weldon Johnson and consider different ways in which we might celebrate and perpetuate his lifelong legacy of his commitment to racial justice. So I'm just here tonight to pop into the wonderful town of Wiscasset virtually and to say, I'd love the opportunity to speak with select board members in a more, in a different setting where we have more time for a conversation about the bill and the opportunities that it presents for the town of Wiscasset and the state of Maine.
Thank you. So what's the board's pleasure in terms of setting for the discussion?
Well, Sarah, Madam Chairman, what kind of options do we have short of coming up with another day where we could spend talking about all of the possibilities for establishing a memorial here in this legacy that stretches all the way from Jacksonville? There's a lot to talk about. What do you suggest?
I mean, I guess I would suggest probably a workshop. I know we talked about around a half hour, at least for an initial presentation from Meadow, and then time for questions. I'm sure there will be many conversations after that, for sure. This is not a one-time thing, certainly. But I didn't feel like, I feel like if we stick it on an agenda and we hope we don't have a big agenda, that's a big gamble, and I don't want to be holding people for 2 and 3 hours.
No, I like the idea of a workshop. I think that's a great idea. This is important. When is a good, do we need to set a date now, or, I'm sorry, I'm talking. Dusty had his hand up.
No, that's
Go ahead.
fine. I wanted to interrupt you just to ask a question. I just, I'm wondering what our focus is and what we hope to accomplish. And I'm not sure I understand why our regular meeting is not the place for that discussion.
So, sorry. Kim?
Yeah, I also, I mean, I'm not opposed to a workshop, I guess, but I'm not really sure why. Like I'm ready to vote to approve a memorial plaque and to, allow like the commission to come and have the observance ceremony to unveil this plaque. Like what are we, why are we, yeah, like why, what are we doing?
I apologize. I guess I wasn't clear. That's, I'm not looking for a vote or anything. This was supposed to be a
Right. I'm just wondering
presentation.
Why? Because we've already had presentations, right? There was like the presentation in October, and then prior to that, Lucia had been to the board, I think twice.
Yep. So where we last left this was we had approved a site and a general idea for what the plaque would be, and had tasked Lucia to work with Dennis on an actual price so we could actually put it on a warrant. Then that was before the gathering that Meadow mentioned that I think 3 of you went to. So I think that was, the idea was that was on hold. So I'm not sure where we are in terms of if we're still doing that, if we're waiting to have more discussion. I was under the impression that we were trying to schedule this so that Meadow could do a full presentation to the board, because not all of us were at that meeting, have an opportunity for discussion. And basically I was allowing at least a half hour for that. And I didn't want to put an extra half hour on meetings that were at least an hour anyway. That was my reasoning for this. So
I guess as long as we move in a timely fashion so that we can get this done,
well, I guess getting what done? I guess I'm not clear
getting
on.
the plaque installed before James Weldon Johnson Day in June.
Okay, so I haven't received any kind of communication that we're actually supposed to be moving forward on that. I thought that was on hold because something bigger was in the works. So if that's not the case, Pam.
Yeah, I
understood.
had not heard that this was, I had not heard that the plaque had been put on hold. I don't know where that discussion took place because that wasn't at any of our meetings, board meetings. So I was under the impression that the plaque was being produced and a design was going to be brought to us. The plaque was going to be produced and it was going to be installed. Can we just have Dennis look into some possible dates for workshops and not have like a half-hour discussion on whether or not we're gonna have a workshop? Because otherwise we should have just had the discussion.
Yes, agreed.
So- Okay, great.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to make sure that we had everybody's voices here and I was unclear as to where we were with the plaque, so I apologize.
Since our last discussion, what changed is the passing of the bill and that now there's actually a state observance. And it's June 14th, Meadow?
It's June 17th.
June 17th. So there's now a state day like that to observe. And that's what's changed, I guess, which didn't have anything to do with us. So I would hope that whatever presentations or workshops we need to have, we can get it done in a timely enough fashion so that we can observe the first James W. Johnson Day.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy to move forward with the plaque. We already voted on that.
Yeah.
Move forward with it. So I mean, I'm not sure. I guess what would be the objective of another workshop, I guess, is my question then. Dusty, did you have a question?
I wanted to add to what Kim was saying. A couple other things that have changed is the design is figured out and we've got the funds raised, as far as I understand. And if we do a workshop, we can't vote and make a decision at a workshop, can we?
No, but you can
No, and-
schedule it as a regular board meeting. It doesn't necessarily have to be scheduled as a workshop. You could schedule it as a regular board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw Terry's hand and then Pam.
Pam was first.
Okay.
Okay, Dusty just said that the design of the plaque had been decided. I haven't seen a prototype or picture of anything for design.
Terry,
So-
Correct. Actually, things changed a little bit. They got held up. That's what I was saying a few minutes ago is, maybe we need just a workshop day. The frustration is, and I think Meadow could probably speak to that if she would. Lucia was ready to go with it, had talked to an artist, and there were drawings. And then we had the contact with the permanent commission, under which all of this activity should come. We got started before they got started. So we're trying to track with the commission. Meadow.
Thank you, Terry. And I'm not here to complicate things. If you all feel that a workshop is not needed, that would be superfluous and somewhat frustrating. I just wanted to make myself and the Permanent Commission available to the full select board, because as Sarah did mention, not everyone was able to attend that wonderful event on the 23rd. And there's no way in which, we want to move forward with this project without everyone in town, feeling good about the collaboration. Wiscasset, in our view, could serve as the epicenter of a very important event and annual observance that, connected to which is cultural programming, educational programming. This will have a statewide resonance. It will also be connected to national remembrance efforts. And there are wonderful possibilities for cultural heritage tourism. June 17th, James Weldon Johnson Day is just 2 days away from June 19th, which is now to be celebrated in the state of Maine as a paid state holiday, Juneteenth. And so there's an opportunity here really to do something big and in concert. And as Terry mentioned, of course, local organizing efforts spearheaded by Lucia Droby. We're not looking to put a wrench in those works at all, but really just looking to support those efforts and give them sort of a statewide stage, because what we're really hoping is that across the state of Maine, municipalities such as yours will be actively embracing James Weldon Johnson Day and taking this as an opportunity to bring young people into an awareness of his life and legacy, but more broadly, it's an opportunity to focus on Black history in such a way that it doesn't have to be relegated to February of every year. Maine has a Black history, and Wiscasset has a connection to that history, a very important one. So far be it from me to, impose another work session on you all who have so many demands on your time. But do let me know how best, we can support your local process and continue to talk with you. It was my understanding that some members of the board felt that there hadn't been enough communication with the board as a body. And that's what I was hoping to address, in asking for some additional time with you.
Yeah, I'll totally take credit for that. I don't want it though to be repetitive for those who were able to come, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there for the day a few weeks ago. I guess I was thinking that there were possibly newer updates or things that we needed to be aware of. But if it's more just sort of a lot of what you went over in the previous day, I don't want to be repetitive for those who went. And I'm happy to move ahead with the plaque. I guess we just need to let Lucia know we want to move ahead because I think she was probably on hold. So if that's fine with others, that's fine with me.
Meadow, thank you for giving us your time tonight and coming. I don't mean to not sound gracious about that. I just feel like my decision is made. I didn't understand that. I don't know, that we weren't all on the same page, but thank you, Meadow, very much for coming.
Well, if we're ready to support what Lucia has already put in operation and held up for this event that we had with the commission, if we're ready to go ahead, since she also already has the money donated for that, is that what you're saying, Kim?
The last vote that we took was authorizing her to work with Dennis to come up with the final design and the final price, and then we would vote to put that on a warrant. I realize the money's been donated, but either way, the next step was for her to come back to the board with the final draft. So that would be the next step.
So can we just schedule that then?
Yes.
Okay.
And then whatever we do, we can include the Meadow and, in case there's going to be like a larger unveiling that, is grander than what we might do on our own.
Okay. Does that work for you, Meadow, as well? I don't want to waste your time either, so.
Oh, no, I'm always happy to come virtually or in person is even better. Absolutely, that, that works for us. We hope to continue to, work closely with you all. And we are right now just finalizing the task force and sort of subcommittees who will continue work related to this project, which will be ongoing. So I'm excited to be back in touch about all of that.
Great. Thank you. All right. So Dennis, you wouldn't mind just tag teaming with Lucia, so we can get that finalized and get something before the board so we can take a look.
Certainly.
All right, great. All right, down to number 10, town manager's report. Any questions or anything you want to add, Dennis?
I have nothing to add. I'm happy to take questions. No.
Good report. Thank you. Good information.
Always.
I know Rob's excited about his ambulance / utility truck.
With new colored lights, right?
Yes, they're being changed to yellow as we speak.
Yeah.
They're good. Oh,
You're very welcome. Loading tools is a pain.
Yeah, we want a picture next time. I think all of these reports need pictures.
all right. Well, thank you, Dennis, and thank you all to all of our departments. I'd love to echo that last paragraph of Dennis's report, really highlighting what everyone does every day, no matter if it's said out loud or not. I think that's really important. So thank you to all the town departments.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Any other board business for tonight? Okay.
Oops,
Seeing
I'm sorry
none.
about-
Oh,
Sorry about the,
Dennis.
yeah, sorry about the mix up on the link. I don't know what happened, but we'll certainly make sure it doesn't happen again. It was broadcast live on YouTube, so anybody can still go in and look at it. So.
Great. Very good.
Thank you, Meadow.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Everybody
was that a motion to adjourn, Kim?
Yes, it was.
Second,
All those in favor?
Jingle bells. Can we sing jingle bells?
Roll call.
No.
Roll
you have
call.
to roll call.
Roll
All
call.
right, Pam,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Dusty,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
I vote yes. We are adjourned at 7:23. Thanks, everyone, and happy holidays.
Thanks, guys.
Merry Christmas, everyone.